Welcome back to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast. The team at Prostatis Financial today with us, Lawrence Kiley and Ryan Herbert, as we go through some of the issues when it comes to planning for retirement. And guys, when we look at retirement, if you Google retirement, you're going to get a lot of stuff. You're going to get things like the 4% rule. You're going to get how much you need to save for retirement. You're going to get all sorts of hard and fast financial rules, but some of them we can just throw out the window. So there's an interesting list. It has 7, and I want to run these past you guys. Lawrence, why don't we start with you? The number 1 on this list is the 4% rule. We can throw that out the window. That is a rule that basically says if you take 4% of your money and adjust it for inflation, the market goes up and you'll never run out of money. Maybe not so much. How do you guys figure on that one?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Throw that one out the window. Biggest thing is when we're having a conversation with people that call in from the radio show or clients that we work with, it's really about how much income do you actually need in retirement. It's getting to know you on a personal level. What do you want to spend? What does it take to currently live the lifestyle you're currently living? Because in most cases, you don't want to lower your standards of living. You want to maintain how you've been living your life. You want to enjoy the life you've been living, and you want to continue to enjoy it as you retire. And the 4% rule may not meet that goal. So it's really how much income do you need in retirement? How do you want to maintain that lifestyle? What does that income look like for you? And then how do we create that income for you in retirement? What sources of income do you currently have coming in? Do you have a pension? Do you have rental income? Do you have, you have Social Security? What are those income sources? And then any shortfall, we create a stream of income for you, whether it's using, the overall market or whether it's using a tool like an annuity where you're buying your own personal pension or private pension. We want to figure out what is that income need so we can get you the income you need in retirement. And then we can set up other buckets for portfolio growth. But it all starts off with kind of setting up that first bucket of money, which is the income producing bucket to get you that income you need in retirement. And normally it's more than 4%, but what is that income you need? And we want to make sure that it lasts you throughout your lifetime in retirement, but it's really creating that income for you that's going to maintain that lifestyle in retirement and not just basing it on, a certain percentage of the portfolio.
And I would even say that the 4% rule is dangerous. The 4% rule is antiquated. Really what they're saying is, if I take out 4%, if I have $1 million in my portfolio, I can take out 4% per year. That's $40,000 a year. And statistically speaking, I'll never run out of money. Okay, great. Well, new studies have been done because that 4% rule was created way back in the 80s and 90s, when all the stock market ever did was go up. And interestingly enough, it used to be 5%, then it was 4%. Now I think the new number that Fidelity said it's 2.8%. And the reason behind that is if you look at the stock market from January 1 of 2000 to December 31st of 2014, and we're looking at the S&P 500, it went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, it went up again. Over that time period, if you look at the net return of the S&P 500 over that time period, is 0. The stock market went nowhere. In fact, if you had $1 million and you retired at January 1 of 2000 and said, I'm going to take 4% of my portfolio out, that's 4% per year. I'm taking out 40 grand. Well, 2000 was a terrible year. 2001 was a terrible year. 2002 was okay. 2003 was another bad year. I'm now 3 years into retirement. I've had 3 bad markets and I've been taking out 4% per year. My $1 million that I retired with is now worth about $560,000. And now that 4% on $560,000 is no longer $40,000 a year. Now I have to take out even more. So now I'm ignoring my 4% rule and I'm taking out more money. That is the slow road to running out of money and having to go back to work in retirement. And that's really what Lawrence is talking about, is figuring out a way to make sure that you have the income that you need week in, week out, month after month, year over year, without having to worry about running out of money in retirement, because nobody wants to go back to work. It used to be back when this 4% rule was created, that you could go back to work and be a greeter at Walmart and hand out smiley faces. Now they don't have that. Now you're blocking the door, checking receipts, making sure people aren't shoplifting money, which is not what you want to do in retirement. Nobody wants to go back to work in retirement. Why rely on an antiquated theory of, if I just take out 4% of my money, I'll never outlive money, and my money will be fine. Put a plan in place to make sure that you have the income that you need in retirement.
There's a lot of these hard and fast financial rules that have been out there. You know, I mean, the 4% rule started in the 80s and 90s. What was the stock market doing? Shooting straight up. Market doesn't always shoot straight up. Okay, next one on the list, Lawrence, is you want your money to last in retirement. We all know you're afraid of running out of money, so spend as little as possible. That is not the message that we want to give our clients, is it?
No, and it ties in a little bit to what we talked about just a second ago, is really you want to maintain or live a certain lifestyle in retirement, and spending, you've worked so hard your entire career. So now you finally retired, you have all this time on your hands. Spending as little as possible shouldn't be the goal. You should want to, we encourage our clients to spend more if they can do it, right? Enjoy your money. Do the things that you've been wanting to do, the honey-do list. Go on the vacation. Spend time with the family. Live the lifestyle you want to live. Don't just, eat ramen and spend as little as possible because you don't want to run out of money. You've worked, a very, very long time to build up this nest egg. And sometimes the goal is to pass it on to your heirs or your kids. But we also encourage our clients, and we want you, and that's why it's so important that we want to get to know our clients. We ask a lot of questions. We go through info gathering sessions with our clients and people that call into the radio show so that we can get to know them. We can understand their goals, what they want to accomplish in retirement, so that you're not spending as little as possible, but you're spending, what it takes to maintain your lifestyle. And then again, because we're very specific in having that conversation and setting up certain buckets of money so that you can continually get that or have that secured income for the rest of your life, then there's a lot more extra on the table to where now you can do different things. You can enjoy, you can go on a big vacation. You can, put a new roof on the house if there's an emergency, buy a new car. You can do those things and not just be, have that mindset of I have to spend as little as possible. I can't spend money here. I can't do this because I'm going to run out of money. If we've secured the income properly to maintain that lifestyle, then you have the rest of that portfolio to enjoy retirement and spend how you want to spend in retirement, and not just, crunch pennies essentially.
I think we're like Mythbusters today. We're talking about these hard and fast financial rules that may not affect you or may not be something you might want to adopt. And the next one, Ryan, has to do with Social Security. I get it. The longer you wait, the bigger the check. And this one says you need to delay your Social Security until age 70. That's not true for everybody, is it?
No, and it's very rare in our world that we do recommend people waiting until age 70. Social Security, it's one of those things where if you can tell me the exact day that you're going to die, I can tell you the exact time to claim Social Security, because it's a longevity play. If you claim it at age 62 and you live past age 73, it would have made better sense for you to wait until your full retirement age. If you wait until your full retirement age and you live past age 83, it would have made better sense for you to wait till you're 70. But in the meantime, what is your quality of life? Are you, like Lawrence said, are you pinching pennies in the meantime, making sure that I hope I don't run out of money? I need, 4% off my portfolio, whatever it is. You want to live the life of retirement that you have always dreamed of from day one. What good is it to retire at 62 or 65 and be worried about where my money is coming from all the way until I hit age 70? You want to go out and do those bucket list things. You want to play golf every day. You want to buy the RV and travel across the country. You want to take the kids on a Disney cruise. You want to do those fun things. So when it comes to claiming your Social Security benefits, it's a matter of cash flow. How can we make it work with the assets that you have, with the income that you have coming in, to meet that $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month number that you need? And how is Social Security fit into that process? Maybe you retire at 62 and we delay it for 2 or 3 years and turn it on there. But it all starts by having that plan in place and having someone work through those numbers with you and show you, here's what happens if you delay Social Security till 70. Here's how much money you're going to spend down just to get you there. Versus if you start right now with Social Security, here's the difference in those numbers, and showing you how to get yourself that retirement that you deserve.
Playing Mythbuster today. These are financial rules that you see out there all the time. Might not work for you. The 4% rule, spend as little as possible, make your money last as long as possible, delay Social Security until 70. And here's one, Lawrence, that we hear all the time from all sorts of different people. Susie Orman says you need $3 million. Kevin O'Leary says you need $5 million. Fidelity says you need $1.8 million to retire. This one says you need $1 million to retire. How many people that walk through your door need that money?
No, I think having $1 million is an exciting number. It's kind of a goal, right? I'm a millionaire on paper. It's fun, right? To have that number there. But again, it goes back to that income need. If you're spending, $15,000 a month and that's your lifestyle, you probably need way more than you do need way more than $1 million in that portfolio. If you're spending, $3,000 a month, you probably don't need $1 million in the portfolio. So it all is really, again, it goes back to getting to know your client and getting to know, what are your goals in retirement? What are you spending in retirement? What sources of income do you have in retirement? Because again, if you're fortunate to have a pension, you have Social Security, if you have some other source of income like rental income, then your portfolio doesn't need to be $1 million or more to maintain a lifestyle that, may cost you $5,000 a month, right? And after tax dollars adjusted for inflation. But if you're spending a lot more than that, if you're spending $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a month, then we need to adjust and make sure that we have a healthy portfolio to be able to maintain that income number. So it all is really going to depend on what is the lifestyle you want to live in retirement or maintain in retirement to determine what is the portfolio size that would be feasible to make that happen. How do we secure the income? Again, how do we set up these buckets of money so that we get the income we need and then we have a portfolio that is for the extras and that doesn't run out?
One of the stories that I hear regularly is one that appears on our list here next. And Ryan, that is somebody who walks in the door and their 401k balance is very high in their 60s. And maybe they've got $50, $75, $100,000 left on their mortgage. They go, I should take that out of my 401k and pay off my mortgage. I want to go into retirement mortgage free, because the next one here is you should pay off your mortgage before retirement. What do you say?
It's all a situational thing. And oftentimes when you take a large chunk of money out of your 401k, you're going to get crushed in taxes, 30, 40, maybe even as high as 50% taxes when you combine everything all together. And it never really makes sense. And one of the things that I always say to people is I understand the need to want to pay off your mortgage. And for most people that we see, they still have these very low interest rates of 2.9, 3.1%. And, you can park your money in a money market or a CD and earn more money than that. But, going into retirement debt free without a mortgage, I get the appeal of it. I get why it makes sense. But in that same aspect, if your income coming in, if you need to spend $6,000 a month, because that's what you're spending right now with the mortgage, and your investments and your Social Security, and if you're lucky enough to have a pension, if all of that can support that $6,000 a month, there isn't necessarily a need to pay that mortgage off right away. Maybe you start making extra payments, but you don't always have to go into retirement without a mortgage. If your lifestyle and your investments and your income can support it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a mortgage in retirement.
There's good debt and there's bad debt. Sometimes it's a psychological need to get rid of it, but it might not be a right financial need for you. Okay, continuing on our list of things that might not be true for your retirement. Here's one. It says, I'm going to use the A word, Lawrence. You should avoid annuities. Talk to me about the conversation that happens when somebody brings up annuities or you bring up annuities with your clients.
No, I think this is funny because all the ones I'm getting somehow tie back into income. So that tying back into income. So annuities can be a very powerful tool when we're looking to set up a stream of income, because what we're doing is we're putting the risk on the insurance company or the annuity company and saying that we want to get a certain dollar amount out for the rest of our life. So I kept talking about securing the income stream. So this is one of the ways that if it's used for a very specific reason, you can secure that income stream for the rest of your life, or you and your spouse's wife, where you know that you're going to get this dollar amount in for the rest of your life, regardless of what happens in the market, right? So it's one of the ways we can set up that bucket of money to where, again, it's like a private pension, to where I know that regardless of what happens, I'm going to get $2,000 a month for the rest of my life. So the way we look at it is, okay, I need $5,000 a month. I have Social Security that's, getting me $3,000 a month, and I have no other sources of income. I don't have a pension. I have my 401k. I have an IRA. There's nothing else that I have, generating income for me. And one of the ways we can do that is using an annuity to buy our private pension, getting us our own pension, to where now that annuity, we put a certain dollar amount into it and it's going to kick off $2,000 a month to us. So now we're getting that $5,000 a month number that we need for the rest of our lives. And the annuity is doing that securely for the rest of our lives. Now, the rest of the portfolio is set up for growth. It's set up for extras, but we've used that annuity as a very specific tool to generate the income we need. So annuities can be used very powerfully in a retirement plan if done right.
You're listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast, and we're talking about this list today. There's 7 of them on here of financial rules that you hear all the time. The 4% rule: spend as little as possible, make your money last, delay your Social Security till 70. You need $1 million to retire. You should pay off your mortgage, and you should avoid annuities. All these things may not be right for you. And the last one here, Ryan, is 65 is it. That's the retirement age. And that's not necessarily the case now, is it? People retire at all sorts of different ages.
Yeah, it's one of those things it's all situational specific. It's all based on, what your spending need is, what your sources of income are, and how much money you have saved. Because of what's been going on with the federal government at the end of this month, the end of September, because we're talking beginning part of September, a lot of government workers took the deferred retirement package and they're retiring at the end of this month. I have people that come to me and they're 52 years old and they're deciding that they want to retire because they have the assets to do it. They have the income that they need to do it, and in other cases, I have clients that work well into their 70s because they really, truly enjoy what they do, and I have other clients that they retire, like my father. He's the perfect example. He retired. He worked for UPS for over 30 years. He has a pension from UPS. He has Social Security. My mom has Social Security, but he needs something to do with his time because he retired at age 55, and now I think he just turned 69 this past year, and he's still wanting to do things. He can't sit around the house all day. He doesn't want to play golf as much as he thought he would because it just aggravates him, and he does the famous Adam Sandler putter throw kind of thing. But he works a part-time job just so he has something to do with his time. Retirement is different for everybody. Retirement does not mean I have to go till 65 and then I stop working. I'm not doing anything. Retirement is different for everybody. You can retire at 50, 55, 58, 59, 70, 75, whatever that age is. Retirement is an individual thing and it's unique to everybody, and you owe it to yourself to have your very own customized retirement plan. So I encourage you to visit our website at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. You go to the website, right at the top it says schedule my call, and you can look at our calendar and your calendar in real time and set up your own time to sit down and have a conversation with myself, Lawrence, and our team here at Prostatis. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
And it all really comes down to what's right for me. The way your parents retired, your brothers and sisters retired, your neighbors, your coworkers, how they retire, it's going to be different for what you want to do. You have different needs. You have different assets. It's all going to be unique to you. Let's figure out what your retirement is. Again, the savvyinvestorradio.com. Click the button there that says get started, or use our phone number 866-597-1040. Again, 866-597-1040.